On this episode of the John1911 Podcast, the SIG CEO is, quote, arrested. The Wild West CoPilot makes an appearance. That one-time freeze almost shot a service dog. And black bear diabetes. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Marky and Freeze, and this is episode 116 of the John1911 Podcast. How's it going, Freeze?
That's going good.
That's good. I'm glad you were able to squeeze in a pod this morning. We actually had a guy email me yesterday going, dude, where's the podcast? I was expecting a podcast today. And because we missed it, you know, you had a long weekend. And
man, I had a rough weekend, yeah.
Yeah. So we might have to change your intro to a Jimmy Buffett song.
Yeah.
But I won't do that to you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's just been crazy. I think we were going to try to get one in, I don't know, Friday or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, we were trying for Wednesday, and then everything fell apart. Then Friday, everything fell apart, and I can't remember what day. I was on the range, and I was cutting some smaller fallen trees. And I installed I got the 300 yard target up. And,
yeah.
But, you know, like I kind of was surveying the property from where because we've got the 100 yard zero bench, which is a flat 100, and we shoot across that bowl. And, you know, from that point, the 300 yard target, really the best, there's plenty of places to put a 300 yard target. But the problem is, we have a large pile of there's a runoff in front of it, and we have a large pile of trees and debris that the dozers dumped into for erosion mitigation until we get grass to grow. And the thing is, from the 100 yard shooting position, you can really only maybe see the top of a shoulder and the head of the target at 300. And I didn't want to make it 305, so I'll probably go out there today with a chainsaw and some pry bars and cut a trench through that debris pile. Because, you know, that debris pile is every bit of, well, from eyesight, it's every bit of 4.5 feet, but it goes down into a wash. It's probably a 6 or 7 foot draw. And, you know, it's just, you know, I mean, I'll have to cut 3 feet down into it. At least. So,
yeah.
You know, that's good, though.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, you know, it's either that or wait for nature to squash the pile down. But that's going to take a couple of years.
Yeah, the bulldozer guys said that it would go down quick. And plus, they also had even anticipated if we wanted to over the winter to burn it. And
I don't necessarily know if I want to burn it, but
you know, we'll see how it goes. I noticed when I was put the 300 yard target up, there's the deer walk right behind it. So literally, the 300 yard target is standing in the deer path.
Yeah, that works.
I mean, so you could be up there at the 300 or back up to 400. Say, I don't know, from the pit, like the back of the pit, or from the inside the wall of the pit to this target. It's probably like 360. You could see it at an angle, and you know you could over by the shipping container. It's a 400 yard target easy, and you know you could be up there and you could whack Bullwinkle all day. He wouldn't even know you were around.
Oh hell, just sit at the bench.
Yeah, that's hard hunting right there, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of hard hunting, did your dad actually shoot anything? Did he shoot any deer this year?
No, but he left out this morning.
Oh, he's going back out?
Yeah, him and a couple of guys went back down there today.
So when does gun end? I thought, is gun end next weekend?
Next weekend.
Okay. So there's a day or two before the gun season, a big ice storm came through the Midwest, and Mitchell's Range, you couldn't even get to it. They had no power. You couldn't even get to the road, get down the road because of power lines.
Mitchell's Range is gone.
What do you mean gone? I mean, it's, I'm just talking about the weather. So,
where the targets are, that whole hillside slid.
Really?
Yeah, Mitchell's Range is gone.
When did that slide?
A couple months ago.
Nobody told me.
Yeah, when we had all the rain in the fall, and
Oh God, yeah, we've had a ton of rain.
Yeah. They logged that ridgetop last year, if you remember.
I do.
And I guess due to the logging and erosion, that whole hillside slid.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Because that was part of the impetus on why we kind of decided to build this new range.
Well, 2 of the 4 steels that we had down on Mitchell Range are moved over to the Oak Woods.
Okay.
And in the other 2 stickers have to be dug out with a shovel. That's
wow.
the word. That's the word I get.
Has the state come in and wanted to look at it or has nobody noticed it because?
The state doesn't mess with that farm because of the owner.
Okay. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. So, state's not an issue.
Okay. I mean, because it is what it is. So, if you move so much dirt, technically you have to, I can't remember what the tonnage is, but if X amount of tonnage moves on your farm, or I guess even if it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be a farm, but typically it's farms, they come in because they want to make sure you're not like nuking the creeks and erosion and killing all the stuff downstream or flooding your neighbor's property and all this and that. So they can get, they're generally polite, but they can come in and start telling you what to do. So, but they typically, when they find it, if it's not something readily visible, they typically will find it on satellite. Yeah. That's what I've been informed of. So that's interesting. I had not heard that. So I'll have to, maybe I'll reach out to the owner and see what's going on there. So
yeah,
interesting. Hey, did you get a chance? Did you get a chance to look into the SIG CEO that was, quote, supposedly arrested in Germany or arrested in Europe?
I read a couple articles about it.
So was that bullshit headline, was it arrested or was he just briefly detained? Because they all ran these sensational headlines that the CEO of SIG was arrested. And then it's like, well, no, it happened a month ago and he's already back home. I guess he was just briefly maybe detained and questioned.
Yeah, I mean, he might have been taken into custody, but it's not like, he sat in jail or anything like that. So, I don't know how long he was in custody. The articles I read never really went into detail on that.
Yeah, I guess they kept it quiet. So for the reason that I follow it is because the issue that the SIG CEO, and this is I think he's a U.S. citizen. I think he lives in the U.S. He probably lives in New Hampshire. SIG USA, SIG. The reason that we're familiar with the issue is because it's affected my ability to get Blaser equipment, military Blaser or law enforcement Blaser equipment out of Germany. So what happened was a couple of years ago, well, it's been almost 10 years now. If you think of time flies, but the German government noticed that there were German guns showing up in places around the world that the German government and the German military did not tag for export. The 2 most notorious examples were BBC News reports were showing Kurdish fighters in northern Iraq and Syria with G-36s. And I think there were Colombian SIG is it Pete? Is it 2022s? I don't even know what that gun is. Is that like a 250 maybe? And then there was I know the G36s showed up in the Kurds, and the SIG 2022 showed up in Colombia, and there might have been even something that showed up in Mexico, and the German government was like, where did you get the end user certificates to get these guns? Because you didn't get them from us, and you didn't get their German made guns. And what happened was they were H&K had somehow sold guns to somebody who sold G36s to the Kurds and possibly, into Mexico. And then SIG had sold guns to, I think, so the 2022s, they were made in Germany. They were shipped to SIG USA. SIG USA either signed a contract with the Department of State or the Department of Defense on a probably foreign military aid contract. And then, so, we do things where like, we're going to supply the Colombian government with weapons to fight drug cartels. And they were like, they put an RFP out. The SIG USA won the contract, and the guns went down to Colombia. And Germany's now raising their hand, and they're saying, we should have had a say in this, because we have these rules in our country that we do not allow the sale of guns into places where, I don't know what they said, like, is it human rights violations, or they didn't say war zones, but basically H&K's jammed up on it and SIG is jammed up on it. And I think H&K is real vulnerable to the German government because they've had a lot of financial issues. There's been a lot of wrongdoing with handling the finances in that company. And you've seen, I can't help but feel it's related why you've seen H&K very rapidly moving production and more of their facilities into the U.S., because I doubt how long H&K Germany is, they may end up splitting up almost the way SIG has. And SIG USA, it's the same deal. They're pissed off in Germany. SIG USA's like, yeah, we're owned by L&O or whatever it is. But they're like, yeah, fuck you. We signed it with the goddamn American government. Boom, boom, boom. They're in our custody. They on our side of the border. They're on our side of the end user certificate. We can, and there is a disagreement as to jurisdiction here. So it's not like the CEO of SIG has like been caught like bribing people or engaging in nefarious activity. He engaged in legal commerce with the national government where his country is located in, but the parent company is located in another country. The guns were made in that country, and they're bitching about it's internal politics. It's really not that dissimilar than, say, Donald Trump talking about making the iPhone in America. It's kind of, it's like, until this actually happens, you're just popping off at the mouth, and it's for political consumption. And it's the same thing. Germany's popping off at the mouth for their domestic politics on this issue, and they're trying to throttle because, they're real sensitive. The Germans obviously are real sensitive on how they're perceived as regarding war and weapons.
Well, it's not like they're, they have a great history with that.
No. So, it's like everybody, so what's happened, like if you think in America, if it's in America, if people have noticed, the listener at home, all of a sudden, really, probably only in the last 15 years or 12 years, definitely since Barack Obama became president, did you really see the epithet of calling somebody a Nazi? And it's like, well, okay, we kicked their fucking ass. It's like, the Nazis were socialists. Where's this? It's like become the new thing. Everybody's a Nazi now. We'll see overseas in Ukraine or in Germany or in any of these countries, everybody calls each other Nazis because it's the one thing you can whack your opponents with. And so that whole it just sets up the argument. Like Ukraine right now, like Ukraine's made the news with the Russians and they shoot each other in the Sea of Azov and all that. Well, there was a government in Ukraine and the government flipped, and the outsiders and the insiders, and this was all happening, and we were reporting on it. And we had a lot of people telling us the other side's a Nazi, no, this side's a Nazi, and they were all literally both sides. The Russians are calling the Ukrainians Nazis, and the Ukrainians are calling the Russians Nazis, and you had people even intentionally running around, waving Nazi flags to take photographs to prove, like literally false flags, to take pictures with these Nazi flags to prove to the world that the other side's the Nazis, not us. And this whole like Nazi weapons of war, imperialism, this whole thing is like a huge furball center of mass in Europe. Like it's like in America, you're a racist. In Europe, you're a Nazi. That's kind of where all.
Actually, in America, if you're not a leftist, you're pretty much of a Nazi.
Yeah, and the reason that's happened is because the American media and the American left, they idolize Europeans, and a lot of political thought comes from Europe. Like Newt Gingrich even said, he was like, is Barack Obama? They're like, is Barack Obama a communist? And they were like, and Gingrich said it first. He's like, look, he's not a communist, but he is definitely a European socialist. And that once you open that door, you're bringing in that entire political machine over, and they brought that. That's where all that Nazi shit's coming from, because it used to be KKK, racism, the Civil War, the Old South, and all that shit. Now everybody's a Nazi.
Look, the thing is, I mean, it's just typical bullshit from the left. If I want to hurt the other side that doesn't agree with me, I call them a grievous name, whether it's, a KKK person or a Nazi, because instead of actually arguing the facts, now they got to try to defend themselves and refute the fact that they're not a Nazi or they're not a racist Klansman, And I mean, it's all smoke and mirrors from the left. I mean, and the thing is, dealing with this bullshit for the last, 9-10 years, honestly, I don't give two shits what people call me, because you know what? Oh, you're a racist. Yeah, what the fuck? Who cares? Sure, I'm a racist. Whatever. I mean, when you start bandying around insults so much, it loses its meaning. It's like, oh, okay, I was called a racist by a socialist and communist Antifa member. Ooh, big fucking deal. Like their opinion matters to anyone in the world.
Well, it's interesting because there is a school of thought that seems to have data to back it up, and what it is it says if you call people racists, and if you do it enough, eventually they'll start acting like racists, and because the argument is. They're like, I'm not a racist. Why are you calling me a racist? I don't have racist bone in my body. I don't have any racist thoughts. But if you're hanging that moniker on them and they're getting all the blowback from it anyway, and, they're the negatives, the other side doesn't even want it, basically, if you don't support universal health care, you're a racist. If you don't support universal basic income, you're a racist. Well, all of a sudden, they're looking around at the field and guys like, Jeb Bush and Mitt Romney and, these guys that want to go along to get along. And they call Mitt Romney somehow now this racist, or he's a Nazi or white. It's like, Mitt goddamn Romney, please. The guy's a fucking saint. So it's like, that's, that argument is like, okay, fine. Fuck you guys. We're going to elect Donald Trump because fuck you and the horse you rode in on, because nobody's getting along anyway. And we're not even going to, try to meet you halfway. Not that Donald Trump's a racist, but it's a big fuck you to the left. Yeah. It's the argument against, well, Hillary was the worst of two bad evils. Was the it's choosing what's the phrase? The better of two evils or something. And it's like,
The
that's some of
lesser of
that,
two evils.
the lesser of two evils. But the other side of the argument that nobody wants to admit, and this is the one I subscribe to, people voted for Donald Trump as a big spear to throw into the bowels of the Washington, D.C. beast just to fucking hurt him. People elected Donald Trump. I think people on our side of the fence voted, even if they didn't think he was going to win, they voted for Donald Trump because everybody that says they suck or they're in flyover country or that they're dumb hicks or that they're poor blue collar people or all these other things they want to say about everybody in regular America, it's like, fuck you. This is how we're going to hurt you. And that's why they voted for Donald Trump. And it's not unrelated to this kind of bullshit with this guy and Blaser and SIG and H&K and all that. So I tell you what, I'm not going to name the website, but they did this sensational headline with SIG CEO arrested. And it's like, you read the article and you're like, well, wait a minute, this was a month ago. He wasn't really arrested. It's not like there's an Interpol warrant out on his ass. And it's like, now, you run this sensational headline that's misleading. And now you get to run another headline because you've now reached out to SIG USA so SIG can issue a correction. So now you get another article to post, another news release. And it's like, you cocksuckers, that was bullshit. You knew he was home and you knew he was here when you wrote the first fucking article.
Oh, I mean, they did that shit on purpose. You know how it is.
I know exactly how it is. And like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the let me ask you this. Do you ever want to go to Pennsylvania to go bear hunting?
Are there any left?
Did you see the articles this morning?
Yes, I did.
It's like,
are there any fucking bears left in Pennsylvania?
I mean, it was like, it was, let me find it here. Hunters bag more than 2,400 bears across Pennsylvania.
And it's like a 4 or 5 day hunting season. I mean, it's like, wow, that's a lot of freaking bear.
The rifle season harvest, a 5-day period, which ended last week. Oh, hold on, pop-up screen here. Oh, come on. Resulted in 2,001 black bears killed. That brought the total number of kills for the year. Okay, so realistically, in the 5-day hunting gun season, it was 2001. And then
that makes all the difference in the world. It was still 2,000 freaking bears in 5 days.
Well, think of this.
Where the bow hunters, over the course of the last month or so, got to shoot, a couple
420 bears. But it's like including early archery, and extended season kills. It's like, I'm shocked that archers were able to kill 400 bears.
I'm shocked at those. I'm shocked at those numbers. I had no clue that the bear population was that big.
I didn't either. But here's the thing that because a place I used to work at, they had a bear come through a few years ago, and I'm not going to say where it is. I think I sent you photographs. There is. The DNR wants to keep it quiet, but there's a bear for sure about 15 miles from our current rifle range in 2 states over. And, here's the thing. It's like there's been whispers of bears passing through. It's like, well, okay, well, maybe they're coming across from Kentucky or swimming across the river, coming across from West Virginia. If there's that many bears in Pennsylvania, oh shit, there's more bears around us than we're realizing, brother.
I mean, I know
most of these bears were killed in western Pennsylvania.
Yeah, well, that means eastern Ohio has a lot more bears than they're reporting.
Yeah, and eastern Ohio down into and cutting south of Columbus, that's real rural. That's all woods, farmland and woods, all things like a big crescent. So here's the top bears. Here are the top counties for bears killed in Pennsylvania. I wish I knew where these counties were because I don't know Pennsylvania off the top of my head. Clinton had 146 bears. Lycoming had 129. Tioga, Tioga, had 114. Hunting Dawn, 97, and Venago had 90. Like, holy shit, dude. Well, guess what? Did you see what the biggest bear was?
Yeah. That was for a black bear. That's a huge bear.
Oh my God! I mean, what's a big black bear? 400 pounds, 500 pounds. That's a big black bear.
You get a 400 or 500 pounder. Yeah, that's a nice trophy right there.
Because you can get black bears that are like 200 pounds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can get small black bear. This bear was shot with my understanding is on top of my head, this bear was shot with a 357 at 5 yards, weighed 780 pounds. And it's like, holy cow. What in the hell? Like, was this bear shot out behind like a McDonald's dumpster? Because I saw that number and I'm like, that's not right. What's the story here?
Now, I think it was a trailer park.
Does a trailer park have dumpsters? Or do they have garbage pickup?
Fuck, I don't know. I don't live in a trailer park.
And the reason
you're from West Virginia, you should know this.
I did. I will even say this on a podcast. In a former life, I had a girlfriend who lived in an apartment, and she had decided that she was, quote, dude, I swear to God, she was tired of wasting money on an apartment, and she had decided to buy a trailer. And I remember just being like, wow, you're an idiot. I just was like, you couldn't talk her out of it for, yeah. So anyway, so yeah, I'm actually a little familiar with trailers, but it's like, look, when there's a 780-pound black bear, dude, I mean, like there was a bear in like North Carolina or something that someone shot, and it made national news. We even talked about, I don't know if it was like 1,100 pounds or 1,200 pounds. And what it was is, if you read the fine print, is there was some kind of butcher, like a pig processing factory or hot dog factory. And what happened was they had a lot of scrap, and they would throw in it, they had these dumpsters, and this bear, like every night, would come out of the woods and just ravage these dumpsters. And this bear was so obese, it could hardly walk. Like this bear, it was crazy. And it's like, oh my God, bears could get, no, black bear that big, or however big this thing was, it's like, this is like one of those, like my 600-pound life, when they have to knock the wall down to take you to the hospital.
He probably had diabetes.
Diabetes. Black bear diabetes. That is the name of the podcast. So, but anyway, when I hear a 780-pound black bear, it's like, okay. How many, I mean, what is a small brown bear weigh? I'm not that familiar with brown bear. I've never seen one in real life.
A small brown bear is going to, it's going to be on the low end of a brown bear is going to be on the high end of a black bear.
I mean, I know that, but like, is a 780-pound brown bear an average brown bear, or is that like a little brown bear?
I wouldn't say that was average. I'd say that would be on the small side of average. Your basic brown bear is going to go 1,000 pounds.
Do you? Oh, see, well, and here, you know what? Here's the thing. I don't know the answer to this, and I don't know if you do either. But like I hear different. I'm going to be honest. Like, I hear these all the time. I never thought to ask. You'll hear brown bear. You'll hear grizzly. And I think sometimes I'll hear Kodiak. Is it Kodiak bear? Is a brown bear?
Kodiaks are huge, but they're not around here.
I know. Well, none of these bears are around here. But here's my question. That's why I don't know it. Because I always wondered, is a brown bear and a grizzly and a Kodiak the same thing, or is that three different animals? I don't know.
No,
because I always thought a brown bear was a brown bear. I assumed it.
I know Kodiak is a totally different bear.
Is it really?
Yeah, Kodiak is a totally different.
Is it a grizzly on Kodiak Island that just happens to genetically be on Kodiak Island, or are the Kodiak bears, are the bears on Kodiak Island that much different than a grizzly on the mainland? I don't even, or is there? Okay. Can you go to Kodiak Island and see two different types of brown bear? I'm listening if you're Googling this shit while you're stalling. Click. You're Googling this shit. You're Googling it.
No, I'm not Googling. The Kodiak, the biggest bear, if I remember correctly, is the polar bear.
Is that the biggest? Or is that just the meanest?
I think they're the fucking meanest too. But
I think they're the meanest.
I believe the polar bear gets the biggest. But grizzly bears and brown bears, I don't know if it's just a universal name for the same bear or if they're of the same, species like a cousin. But I do know the Kodiak bear is different than a grizz or a brown bear.
Okay.
I do know that.
Because I just assumed, I don't know this. So if you're listening to this podcast and, you know the answers, especially to kind of educate us who live east of the Mississippi, if people in Wyoming talk about a brown bear or if people in Wyoming talk about a grizzly bear, are they just interchanging the same animal? Maybe like they call it a Kodiak or a brown bear in Canada and they call it a grizzly in Wyoming? Or is it different? Is this like like in video game terms, is it like a super hard kill animal, like it's bigger than a brown bear? I just have no idea. I don't know shit about bears. And the reason I'm noticing this is did you see the video that I posted of the Wild West gun? Did you get a chance to watch that?
Yeah, I did.
Did you see how the Evil Roy target got knocked over?
I'll tell you what, that's a hard hitting gun. I like the Wild West gun. I mean, I'll tell you what, I'd never buy the Wild West gun. I'd just go out and buy a Marlin in 4570. I buy basically the same gun that the Wild West people converted.
Yeah.
And
you shoot it real well too. You shoot that gun well. In irons, you shoot that gun well. I recall.
Oh man, I like that gun, and I'm not a big lever action fan. I'm not a real fan of the lever action. I just don't particularly feel real good cycling the action. It's just, I don't know. I just never got into it. But I'll tell you what, that Wild West gun is a sweet gun to shoot. It's smooth. I like 4570. It's a nice round to shoot. And I'll tell you what, the sights, and I guess the best way to describe those irons are, I guess it's kind of like a quasi ghost ring.
It's got like a rear ghost, and then it's got a shrouded front with a fiber optic insert on it.
Yeah, and man, I'll tell you what, the sights on that gun rock. Man, I'll tell you what, that's a nice shooting gun. It's hard to miss. It's hard to miss with that gun.
I'm going to tell the listener at home, here's how nice shooting the gun is. Until right now, all the years I've known Freeze, his argument is, I hate lever guns. I can't stand them. Hate lever guns. He fired the Wild West guns, and now he's like, I don't really care for lever guns, but I like that Wild West gun.
I do.
It's the only lever gun I've ever heard you actually say anything positive about.
I like it. Most of the lever guns I've fired were like 444 Marlin, 30-30, pistol caliber lever guns, 357, 44 mag. And that's the first 4570 lever gun. I mean, I've shot 4570 before, but that's the first one in lever action that I fired. And I think, like I said, I'm not a fan of lever guns, but I think it's the combination of that gun and the caliber. And let's face it, the Wild West guys did a lot to that gun. I mean, if you pick up an off the rack Marlin of the same model, and I forget what the model is, the base gun model,
1895. It might be SBL or GL or something.
Yeah, it's because it's got the pick rail on it and all that shit. But basically, Marlin, the base gun Marlin made, and the Wild West people, I mean, they went over that gun. I mean, the trigger's smoother.
Yeah, they replaced the trigger and they smoothed out the action.
Oh, yeah.
It's got its own custom big ring loop on it that they've dehorned.
Yeah, so, I mean, when you're shooting that gun, it's night and day difference between an off-the-shelf Marlin. I mean, people go, oh, well, goddamn, that gun's $3,000. Well, I'm not going to argue against that. That's stupid money, but you're not getting an off-the-shelf Marlin either. I mean, they did a lot of work to that gun, and it's a smooth gun. It's got a great trigger on it. The action on it is silky smooth, and I like the round. The sights on it are phenomenal. I mean, at 100 yards, like I said, it's impossible to miss with that gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the video I was shooting about 141, and it was pretty windy. And we had a guy rolling in, a couple people on Facebook. The video got a lot of traction on Facebook and a lot of questions. And it was from novice people. Again, we're all novice in something. Not that I know shit about, cowboy guns is what I kind of call these things. But the guy was like, so I'm thinking about getting one of these. How does it compare to like a 12 gauge on recoil? And I was like, it doesn't recoil as much. It's full power 12 gauge. Those loads from PPU, those hunting loads, those soft points, the 12 gauge recoils more. And what I told the
recoil though.
What was that?
It's a different type of recoil.
Well, what it is here's how you describe it verbally, and then here's how you describe it scientifically. It's more of a push than a it's more of a shove than a punch. And what that really is it doesn't have a high peak in the recoil curve, so it doesn't expand. It doesn't recoil sharply into your shoulder. It's more of a push. Now it's got a recoil pad on it, but also what you need to know is it's a 4570. Was that a 405 grain? I think it was a 405 grain. I don't remember.
I believe those are 405s.
Yeah, the standard government load because it used to be 4570 was a government model. It was a government gun, government caliber. Is for the listener at home is 405 grains. And so what I told this guy was, and a lot of people were kind of in on it. He was like, well, I'm thinking about getting one of these or one of these lever guns, or what should I get? Or what do you think of 4570? And I said, here's what you should do. I said, if you want to have a diversified gun collection and you want to have a classical gun and you want to have a big bore gun, a big bore caliber, get a 4570 all day. Here's why. Number one, it's extremely common caliber. You can get that caliber in Africa. Number two, if you're into black powder and you want to load black powder into it or do black powder guns, you can do that. If you hate black powder, you can do smokeless powder. 4570 will take smokeless powder. That's third. Fourth, they're still making new loadings for 4570, like the Lever Revolution, all these fancy hunting loads, cast. You can buy cast, you can buy copper, you can buy a copper jacket, all these crazy loadings for this gun. And, and also, and here's the thing too, the 4570 that's sold over the counter, it's a big bore caliber. It'll thump a deer like frickin' Mike Tyson in like the opening round, that gun that I was shooting in that caliber. But that is nowhere near the strength you can load a 4570. And the reason is, and you know this because you taught me this, the 4570 factory loads are loaded at a certain pressure point so you can put them into a trapdoor.
Yeah, I mean, if you put some of the higher pressure 4570s in an old trapdoor, you got a world of hurt coming down.
because the trapdoor is a 45-70 that was converted from like a musket, and they're not as strong as other 45-70s. So, they don't generally sell like uber thumper 45-70 rounds. But like, so for example, this gun that we have that with the CoPilot made by Jim West of Wild West Guns in Anchorage, Alaska. They also have a store in Las Vegas. They came out with their own boutique caliber and got it Sammy spec'd. And it's hold on, I dropped my thing here. It's a they call it they were calling it 457 Wild West, 457 WW, and then sometimes you'll hear the slang term, they'll call it 457 Magnum. And what it is you can buy this ammo. You can buy it from HSM. We have 457 Wild West ammo. It's thumper ammo. And what it is it's super hot 45-70. Yep. But what Wild West Guns did, Jim West, for safety reasons, they just extended the length of the 45-70 case just a hair, so you couldn't chamber it into a regular 45-70 gun. Yes. So like a trapdoor, because it would blow. It would
destroy a trapdoor.
Here's the thing: it wouldn't just blow the top of the trapdoor off of the action. It would probably blow it in half. Like it would separate the gun in two pieces. But here's the nice thing: this gun that we got, the Marlin, it'll take 457 Wild West, 457 Magnum. So the point is, if you decided you're a hand loader and you wanted to have a real thumper round in 45-70, you can work up your own loads, and that Marlin will take it.
Oh yeah,
Marlins are strong guns.
Marlins are strong guns. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, even with a standard off the shelf Marlin, it'll take heavier loads. Those Marlins will hold up. I mean, they're nice guns, and I'm not going to get into the old Marlin.
No, we're not going to do that. But the other argument for having a 45-70 is why it's like, well, like you had mentioned, you fired them in what is it, 40? I don't even know the calibers. Like all these, I call them cowboy calibers.
Oh God! I mean, there's 45-90, 45-110. I mean,
you'll see 40-100 maybe, and you'll see 50, 110. And so here's the point. People will well, I could get a lever gun in this caliber, or I could get a Sharps rifle in this caliber. My argument is, if you're not an uber douche with all these cowboy guns, pass by. Get the gun you want, whether it's a Sharps gun, a lever gun, whatever gun, and if it's in 45-70, just get that. Because here's the thing: you get a 45-90 or a 45-110 Sharps gun or a 45-110 whatever gun. That ammo is going to be so boutiquey, you're never going to be able to shoot that in any other guns, and it's going to really make that an expensive gun to run.
Yeah. Look, if if you have an extensive collection and you're looking to diversify and expand and go out there, fine. Those calibers are great for that, especially if if you like Sharps rifles. Oh man, the sky's the limit on those old calibers.
Oh God!
But look, if you just want a good general purpose gun for deer, hog, shooting at the range, but a big bore gun, 45-70 is the way to go. I mean, the ammo's plentiful. You can reload it yourself. You can buy factory. It's not stupid expensive ammo either, really. It's not, 223 cheap or 7.62 by 39 cheap, but I mean, it's not a real expensive gun to feed.
Well, you know what? Let me put this in terms of precision shooting, because it's actually the same thing. So, if you're into, is it BPCR, black powder, center rifle, or silhouette shooting? Is that what they call that?
Black powder
BPC.
silhouette.
So the BPCR, black powder centerfire rifle. It's the
No,
the guys that shoot they'll shoot 1,000 yards at like a buffalo target at competitions. Well, here's my point. If you want to do that, like let's say instead of wanting to go to a PRS match or go to your local sniper match, take your 308, you want to go to a match where they shoot Sharps rifles. If you show up with 4570, that's the standard baseline caliber. You're going to be fine, but you're not going to be in with the cool kids with better ballistics, better wind deflection. Just like 308 at a sniper match is not as cool as the 6.5s or the 6mm. 4570 at a silhouette match is not as cool as 45-110 or 40. Like you even see like 35 something, 35-90 and 40-110.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you start getting into matches, you're going to get into that regardless of what kind of match you're shooting. I'll tell you what.
But the price is just like with regular ammo. You can get bulk 308 ammo all day, every day. But if you want to step up and get Gucci Bucci ammo on the PRS side, you're going to fucking bend over. It's the same with 4570. You can walk in any Walmart and any gun store in America and find 4570. You can find some loading for it. You're not going to find 45-110. You're fucked. You got to load that shit or buy it boutique from like HSM or something.
There's companies out there that cater to like the cowboy action crowd and the cowboy competitors that
the problem with all that cowboy ammo is it's all downloaded. It's not real. It's Hollywood.
Oh, no, but you can buy competition ammo. I mean, they do make it.
No, here's the problem. Cowboy action shooters, like I don't know enough about it because I've never done it, but I've seen it. A cowboy action shooter who's shooting 45-110, he's buying cowboy loads of 45-110. He could never shoot that at a silhouette range because the bullet would never make it.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, those are Hollywood companies.
But these companies that produce all this cowboy action shooting do produce match ammo.
You know what? You're right. I don't know about the match ammo, but here's the thing. The shooting that I did in the video at the range I shot at with 4570, I could have shot that with cowboy ammo. You know what I mean? Like, what would have made no difference? The target wouldn't have knocked over, but no. Because actually, as a matter of fact, that Evil Roy target comes from cowboy action shooting. That's where that target comes from.
Yeah.
That's a cowboy target. So, hey, I don't know how to even segue into this because I don't even know if I want to segue into this, but you got to talking about this with somebody on the Facebook and the private messages about service dogs. Are we going to talk about this or are we going to skip by this on the podcast? Because they're actually expecting this.
Was I talking about that on Facebook or were we talking about that on a previous podcast?
You were talking about, I've hinted around about it. So the subject of like how I approach it is political correctness. And people on our side of the fence think that they're immune to political correctness, that think only the left is subject to this. And I'm like, no. If you're on the right, you're a conservative, if you're more Republican than the biggest Republican, if you're right of Genghis Khan, Republican, and you don't think you're subject to political correctness, you're gonna hate me what I'm about to say. And here's the way I put it. On the left, here's political. If you live under a bridge more than a day or two, definitely more than a week, you're not homeless, you're mentally ill. You're not homeless, you're mentally ill. It's bullshit. It's political crap. All these homeless people, those are not homeless people that are living in boxes and sleeping in alleys and sleeping under bridges. I understand you can have a bad day. I understand you can have a bad week. I understand your life can collapse. You can lose your house and you got nowhere to go and you have a rough time. We all get that. I've actually been there. But if you're living somewhere under a bridge for weeks or months or years, you're not homeless. You're mentally ill. All my conservative friends are like, yeah, bend over and grab your ass, motherfucker, because here it comes. 99% of all these service dogs that I see in airports and at conventions or in public are bullshit. Especially these vet service dogs, it's bullshit. Now, hold on. Now, here's what the conservative will say. Yeah, you're right. My dog's certified, but all those other dogs are bullshit. Fuck you, and the horse you rode in on is a doctor from the University of Jamaica, a real doctor. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if your goddamn Cocker Spaniel, you got some doctor to fucking sign a piece of paper that says it's a fucking service dog. All you have to do is walk around and see all these goddamn handicap placards that are fake as fuck as well. This service dog bullshit is out of control. And I'll tell you what really set me over that. When it really hit me, I was working SHOT Show back where I used to work, and I used to have to work it like we had a booth. And I used to work on the law enforcement side. And there was a girl who was a well-known girl, and she was military, and she's hot, and she's into guns, and so she was this rising star, and she showed up at fucking SHOT Show, taking pictures with this service dog, and like an extremely attractive girl, like so attractive that in many ways, like it's almost a disability because, it could fuck your life up if you're too hot. She was one of these people. And I remember just seeing her going, what the fuck are you doing with a goddamn service dog? Well, guess what? It came out later that she stolen valor, didn't fucking serve, all this crazy bullshit. And she was run out of the industry. Well, how the fuck did she get a service dog?
Well, PTSD is the new fibromyalgia. It's the bullshit disease. Now, let me explain that.
I can't work because my fucked up back.
Exactly. Look, PTSD is real, obviously.
Service dogs are real.
Yes, exactly. But there's so many people riding the PTSD train. Oh, I was in a car accident. And this is, by the way, this is true. This is the son of someone I know. I was in a car accident. I've got PTSD.
Holy shit.
No, you don't. So now the kid, and this kid's in his 20s. Now, I don't know if he actually got disability, but he was fighting for disability, so he never actually had to actually work another day in his life.
Yep.
And he was trying to ride the PTSD. Look, you know what? You serve 18 tours in Afghanistan. Yeah, I'm not going to question your PTSD. You're in a car accident and you didn't lose a freaking limb. Yeah, I'm questioning your PTSD. Suck my dick. That's what I'm saying when I say PTSD is the new bullshit, thing going around. Not trying to take away from many, many guys out there that have legitimate PTSD, but there's more that are trying to pimp it than actually have it.
I see these dogs, like, what was it? Like, it's getting to the point now that, like, you go to restaurants and sometimes it's not even a dog. Sometimes it's something else. And the whole point, it's like these, maybe it's a dog, but it's like a little Chihuahua dog, or it's this or it's that. Well, that's your pet, because how this all started, and I know a fair amount about it. I have a fair amount of experience in it, and I know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to share it here, but I know a fair amount about seizures and seizure dogs and all this other kind of shit. And, the whole point of why they had these dogs was because there were certain breeds that were smart and were more trainable. And now all of a sudden we've slid from a certain breed or couple of breeds or certain dogs Like, remember Alex, the Stroh's dog that could, Alex, go get me a beer. And Alex could go to the fucking refrigerator, open up the refrigerator, get a beer and bring it to the guy sitting in the chair. If your dog can't do shit like that, like if your dog can't like grab your fucking ankle and say, sit the fuck down, you're about to have a seizure, or if your dog can't fucking push the life alert button because you're about to, overheat and stroke out because you're having a fucking seizure, I don't want to hear about your bullshit dog. You better not bring that fucking dog on an airplane.
I was just going to say, most people get their dogs registered as service dogs so they can take them on a freaking airplane.
No, it's their pet.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. But hold on. But hold on, I gotta stop you. I gotta stop you right there. It's not just the fucking airplane, because I'm sympathetic. If I had a dog, I would not want to put a dog in the cargo hold because I'm afraid Delta's going to kill my fucking dog. I get it. Okay, I'm sympathetic. Like, hey, wink and a nod. Let's try to keep Fido fucking alive here because I think you guys suck. That has nothing to do with a goddamn labradoodle in the frozen food section of Kroger.
No, but what I'm saying is that's why a lot of people get their pets registered as service dogs. That's very common. Get it registered as a service dog, you can take it on the plane and don't have to check it. That's very common.
Okay, but what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Why do I see service dogs in the fucking grocery store? Why do I see service dogs at the fucking conventions? Why do I see service dogs in hotels? Hotels let you bring dogs in.
Well, because once you get it labeled as a service dog, you can take it anywhere.
I know, because it's your fucking pet.
Yeah.
So here's my point. This argument, like, well, I do. How often, it's like this. You know what? Your argument on the airplane sounds awfully similar to that woman that was accusing Judge Kavanaugh of doing all this horrible shit, and she was afraid to fly, and she doesn't do this. She couldn't testify, and they're asking her at the fucking hearing, I fly to France, I fly to Tahiti, I fly to Indonesia, I fly to Hawaii. Oh, okay. Why the fuck do we push this back 2 fucking weeks? Thought you had to fucking drive here. Did you fly here? It's bullshit. Because, here's the thing. If you have to get your dog...
I know it's bullshit. I'm just telling you why a lot of people get their dogs registered as service dogs.
I don't believe that. I think people get their dogs registered as service dogs because they want to bring their fucking pet everywhere. It has nothing to do with the fucking airplane. Like this, these people with these service dogs that, fly once in their lives, bringing these dogs everywhere to fucking McDonald's. It's bullshit. It's fucking huge bullshit. It's, they fly once or twice in their lives, but they're bringing that dog everywhere. That's not I got my wink, wink. I got my shit fucking certified so I could bring him on the airplane. Okay, why the fuck is he here? Why is he in aisle 6 at fucking at goddamn Piggly Wiggly?
Well, because it's a benefit. It's just like having a handicap placard for your car.
Mm-hmm.
It's like well, I've got a legitimate handicap placard for my car, but you know what? My son Bobby's going to go up to Walmart and take my car, so he's going to park in handicap because, well, it's there.
Mm-hmm. It's bullshit.
It's not right. It's not actually even legal, but
mm-hmm.
But he's still going to capitalize on it. So it's the same thing. If your service dog is registered as a service dog, you're going to utilize it in every form, which means you can take it into McDonald's and take it into Kroger or Walmart or Target or wherever the hell you shop.
Let me correct your verbiage so it actually makes logical sense. If you're the kind of guy that would lie about having a service dog, you're the kind of guy that would bring your dirty ass dog into a fucking restaurant. Fuck you and your service dog. Fuck you. And if you're listening to this and you're like, well, my service dog's legit. You know what? If you're the one guy with a seizure disorder, you know what? Fuck, you get a pass. But here's the problem. If you're on the bubble, if you don't like what I have to say and you have a service dog, maybe you need to start cleaning up your own community and start looking around you at all. When you go to the service dog convention and you see a bunch of people that really don't need these dogs, are just fucking around so they can have a fucking dog and a pet everywhere, maybe you should start kicking them out of the organization, or maybe you should force your groups to audit them because it's hurting all of you. Nobody would have shit attacks about these goddamn dogs if they only saw one every so often.
Well, I'll even take it one step further. Okay, there's people that get their dogs registered as service dogs, which if you want to take it on an airplane, like I said, you would have to show proof of that. But the person who's taking their dog into a restaurant or into the grocery store, all they do is they go on to the internet and order a service dog vest for their dog. And here's the problem. So someone comes into the grocery store with the little vest that says, I'm a whatever kind of service dog, comfort dog, whatever. And no one is going to question them. No one's going to say, can I see the validity, or can I see the paperwork? Is that a real service dog? Because the management of the store doesn't want to be plastered on the 11 o'clock news because he's the jackass who kicked out the person with the legitimate service dog. So it's easier just to sit there and say, you know what? Let them come in, get their shit. They'll be out in a couple of minutes, and there's no bad press that way. So how many of these people out there that have quote unquote service dogs just have service dog vests?
You know what? You bring up a good point. You bring up two good points, and I'm glad you did it. The first one was I had not considered somebody just going out and getting a service dog vest, because I very rarely even see those vests. The last one I saw was outside of D.C., and I was like, I'm looking at this. I'm like, okay, maybe. I thought maybe this one could be legit. Maybe it's because the guy wearing a fucking Molly vest with AK fucking mags. I mean, I don't know. But here's the other thing. Because hold on, there's a word you said that was really important. Because I've said service dog. Service dog, service dog, service dog. Alex Destro's dog can go to the refrigerator and get you a beer or press the life alert button. But a, quote, comfort dog, what the fuck does that even mean?
It's an emotional support animal. And actually, you see those in hospitals. And you see them in nursing homes. And they're basically trained dogs to give
that you can bring into an environment that won't rip a child's face off.
Exactly. But yet the sick people or the sick kids or the elderly people can pet the dog, and the dog's real nice. And that's a legitimate animal. But check this out.
That's a dog that has a job. But you know what? You're not doing your job. You're off work when you're at the grocery store.
Exactly. Now I typed in service, and the third search that popped up was service dog vests. So in Google, when you click on it, it pops up all the different links, but it also pops up ads, says see service dog vest. And it gives you ads of different places you can go to buy different things. The first item, service dog ID card, $29.99. So you can buy your own ID card.
How much does a service dog vest cost?
Well, let's see. Anywhere from $25 to $100, depending on the type of vest.
Whether it's a Wild West Guns vest or whether it's a regular vest.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, I mean, obviously, different dog vests, are some are bigger, some are larger, they strap on differently. But like all the legitimate service dogs I've ever seen, like in hospitals and, stuff, they always have, it's a vest, and it'll say, it'll have what kind of a dog it is, but they always have like an ID on them.
Who issues the ID?
See, I don't know.
So here's the thing. We can't have national voter ID, but we can have fucking service dog ID.
I know.
Or emotional support dog ID. And here's something else. We've only been talking about dogs, but now we have people bringing peacocks and fucking and parrots on the airplanes. This is my emotional support bird.
Yeah, see, that's bullshit, though. But like for example, I'll give you an example. Like
it's all bullshit.
the service dogs they have at University Hospital actually have University Hospital ID tags.
Well, you know what? Because those are probably real dogs. And look, and here's how this works. I have some experience with this. In a previous career, this was debated. This was long before I met you. There was at one point there was a security problem, and there was some issues bringing firearms, moving with weapons at all times in certain situations. Mm-hmm. And the one of the suggestions that was made by a law enforcement agency was to get something called a green dog, which was like basically a police dog that doesn't do dope and, but can, do all this other shit. They called them green dogs at the time. I don't even know if that's what they told me it was. Okay. And, it was like, oh, that's interesting. It's like, okay, so now we're going to have to get this fucking dog. Let's look into this. How much these goddamn dogs cost? And it was, it was going to be a fair amount of money. It was going to be like $4,000 or $5,000 for one of these dogs. And it had to be a fucking big dog so the big dog can do big dog shit. And then it was all the stuff. And at the very end of the process, when we were talking about, forget all the infrastructure and, the support and like dog shit and food and control of the dog and having to take care of a dog and deal with this dog, we couldn't really get the insurance worked out because nobody could guarantee that this dog wouldn't come across. Like if we cross paths with like somebody or something that doesn't need to be fucking bit, but like, let's say somebody brings their service dog up on us and all of a sudden the green dog decides the service dog needs to die, there was no guarantee that we could stop this from happening. Now, right now, there's a bunch of people who are like Navy SEALs, Belgian Malinois, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Shut the fuck up. Here's the problem. In the real world, we couldn't get this insured because nobody could guarantee, and we couldn't guarantee that we're not going to kill somebody's dog with our dog. And so we dropped the dog and we said, fuck you. We're gunning up 24 hours a day. That's your problem. You get us paperwork to fucking do it. I'm coming back to the hospital. These dogs come into this hospital. There's lawyers all up and down on this dog and all up and down on checking this dog and certifying this dog because somebody has to insure this dog. If the dog decides one day that it's decided I ain't doing this anymore and decides to rip grandma's throat out, that's a real dog because there's insurance behind that dog. There's no goddamn insurance of some dog in the frozen food section at Kroger.
No, not at all.
Mm-hmm. And if there's no insurance, it's not real. You don't drive without insurance, do you? You go to fucking jail. You shouldn't fucking, if you don't have thousands and thousands of dollars of insurance on your service dog as to what that dog could do, liability wise, you're full of shit. I don't care how much paperwork you got.
Yeah.
Insurance is what determines all this. I hate these fucking things. If you live under a bridge, you're not homeless, you're mentally ill. 99% of all these service dogs, even though they're papered, are not real. They're not, because they're not homeless, they're mentally, or they're drugs, or they're this. Oh, they're service dogs. Well, they're not service dogs. They're emotional support. Well, they're not. It's a seizure dog. It's a service dog. It's an emotional support dog. It's a pet. It's so I can bring it onto an airplane. It never stops. It's just big old fucking gooey mess of bullshit, and no one can ever nail down the real reason why this dog exists because nobody actually wants to answer the question.
Well, I mean, honestly,
but that isn't why I brought this up. I have to circle back to Facebook. You had told a guy on Facebook about a story in private. You hinted at it. And I was like, are we going to discuss this on the podcast? Where you had almost shot a service dog.
Yeah, I don't want to get into a lot of detail on it. But
are we going to get into any detail? Or are we going to drop it? I suggest we drop it.
Yeah. Let's just suffice to say that this supposed service dog, and it was a big dog too. Damn near bit the face off of a 3 or 4 year old little kid. And fortunately, there was a third party involved that yelled at the dog, and the dog stopped because I guess, because again, not a trained dog, it's just, but I was a second away from dropping this dog.
Okay, we're gonna stop. Yeah, we're gonna stop. So, okay, that's almost too much. Okay.
Yeah,
I saw you talking about this on Facebook in private message, and I was like, "Wow, are we really going to do this?" Okay.
but and that was a fake service dog.
Was that the Danny? Who were you talking to about that? Was that?
I don't even remember.
Okay.
I don't know. It was a while back.
No. This was no. In Facebook, this was like 2 days ago.
No.
2 or 3 days ago in a private message. Yes, it was. It was within the past 4 days.
I don't think it was.
Oh, I guarantee you after he listens to this podcast, you're going to get a private message. So get ready. So if you want to bring him into the club, you can go ahead and do whatever. Hey, I want to talk about something fun. Have you seen, I don't know if I sent this to you. Have you, like there's people, they'll draw like these pilots, like a couple Marine Corps pilots got in trouble for the for like skywriting on radar. I can't remember, like they'll do like a dick and balls, or they'll do, and like if you look at the radar track, you have the radar track, and it turns out they're drawing an image in the sky. Like I don't know if it's like a dick or something, like someone like, oh, I know, like a guy drew a dick and like someone else drew a dick. Well, there's apparently, this happened just when you thought you had reached peak flying phallic expression. An A400M transport plane flying out of Seville, Spain, went ahead and traced what appears to be a massive dick in a box over the Gulf of Cadiz.
You know what, though?
Dude, they even drew a bow on the box.
Dude, see.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, I did. I saw the picture. Dude, that is so awesome. I love it.
Yeah. I'll see your Marine Corps F-18 dick pic in the sky, and I'll raise you a dick in a box with a bow. So if you want to see pictures of that, we'll have some links to it on the website in the comments section. I'll put up the dick in the box. So
but I mean, when you're a pilot, you have to just like any other job, you have to do things that amuse you.
Most of flying is boring. You just sit there letting the plane fly.
One of my favorite videos, and it's been around the internet for a while, I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, is a guy, he's an SR-71 Blackbird pilot, or, well, I guess XR-71 Blackbird pilot. And he's telling a story about doing a test flight with a new guy, and they were kind of working out to see if they were going to work out in a team because, flying an SR-71 it's not like flying a Piper Cub, And anyway, he's talking to control towers about ground speed readouts.
Okay.
And it's freaking hilarious because he starts out, they're flying at like, 2,000 feet or not 2,000 feet or, like 20,000. I don't remember. It's been a long time since.
Probably 20,000.
Yeah, well, probably higher than that actually, but it's an SR.
At least 20. Yeah. Oh, an SR-71 would be like 100,000, 90 to 100.
Yeah,
they're up there.
Oh no,
75.
Yeah, they were up there, but we're talking about ground speed. So, and he's talking about how air traffic controllers all talk in this sing-song voice to make everyone feel special and happy. So, they're and he's talking about, they're flying, from one end of the country to the other, and they're doing it like in, like 10 minutes because they go so fast, And someone comes on, and he's in like a small, like a Cessna, and wants his ground speed, and the control tower guy, gives out his ground speed. And then a guy comes up with like a twin engine Beechcraft, because he's going faster. And then, and it escalates to where next thing you know, there's like a Navy F-18 guy, wanting to read the ground speed. And he's just like, yeah. So this guy's thinking, I'm going to put everyone to bed and we'll stop this nonsense because who's going to beat him? And the guy goes on to say, he's like, and I knew we were going to be a team when I heard the radio click from the guy from his backseater and asked for a ground speed readout. And, the air traffic controller came back and said something like, like 19,000,
92,000 feet.
No. It was ground speed. So it was like, 1900, and he said, as backseat guy says, response says, I'm showing it closer to 2000, shit like, I mean, it's a funny story. And I know I just mutilated it, but if anyone wants to hear it, just do a YouTube search for SR-71 pilot, talks about ground speed, and it's, I don't know, like a 5 or 6 minute long video. It's a funny video.
You know what? I'll find the video and I'll see if I can't embed it in the comments section of the website. Okay, so we've been going for a while. We probably got to wrap this one up, but I don't know. Like I guess we're going to talk about which do you want to talk about? I'm going to give you like the crime or whatever stories. Do you want to do you want to talk about the Tannerite baby reveal, the missionary who went to the Forbidden Island, or the man cuts off his testicles?
Okay.
Or the $50,000 Colt AR-15.
Ooh, that's a good one too. Excuse me. I don't want to talk about the missionary because you already posted the meme of the week.
I'll put that in the comment section on the website.
It's a toss up between the AR and the testicles.
Oh, the testicles. Let me find. Let's see here. Okay.
You know what though? Hold on a second. No, let's talk about the baby reveal because I have an actual comment on that.
The baby reveal. Let me find it.
Tannerite baby reveal.
Yeah. So okay, here we go. You want me to read the headlines for the listener at home? Newly released video shows the insane moment when a gender reveal started a massive wildfire. Now, mind you, we all just got through. Oh, did we? Is California still on fire?
I think it is. Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. So anyway, this apparently the U.S. Forest Service released a video Monday showing the exact moment when Border Patrol agent, I didn't know it was a Border Patrol, Dennis Dickey and his wife found out the gender of their baby and started a large wildfire that tore through Arizona's parched grasslands, forcing residents from their home and costing the state millions of dollars. In September, Dickey, the dad-to-be, pleaded guilty to accidentally starting the sawmill fire that torched 47,000 acres of Arizona's parched grasslands. Ultimately, 800 firefighters were required to extinguish the blaze at $8 million.
Yep.
So here's what he did.
Okay, go ahead and tell what he did.
The 49-second video taken on a windy spring day in April of 2017 shows a lone black target with the words boy and girl flanking a purple checkered target. The parents' chosen setting was in the middle of an open sand-colored field in the Coronado National Forest near Green Valley, Arizona. Seconds after the video begins, a massive boom is heard, followed by a huge blue powdered explosion, which quickly transformed into a fire. Quote, "Start packing up," a man yells twice in the video as the flames dance and leap, quickly blackening the field. blacked out figures frantically dart back and forth into the flame. So basically, what this guy did for the moment, for the big moment, Dickie had filled the target with powder, which would burst either pink or blue. He also added Tannerite. Once we get to the Tannerite, we all know what that is.
Okay.
So
now this is what I wanted to say about that. So he pled guilty, and this is important because you have to really think about what you do. And we talk about keeping bullets on the range, and because this all ties in together, because there's repercussions to your actions. Okay, so at the end of the day, after the guy pleads guilty, he had to pay $200,000.
Oh, did he?
Front. Yes, he had to pay $200,000 up front, but it's not done because obviously he can't repay back $8 million. But for the next 20 years, he has to pay $500 a month.
Really?
Think about that. Because he was doing a gender reveal party, and burned up a bunch of freaking acreage, and because this was supposed to be a happy, festive moment, but it was a mistake. He didn't do it on purpose. It sucked. He didn't mean to do it, and fortunately, no one was killed. Think about if someone would have been killed. But now this dude has to pay for the next 20 years. Not to mention he had to pay the $200K up front. I guess he had it. I don't know. Maybe he had to sell everything he owns and he's living under a bridge.
So is he mentally ill or homeless?
But the thing is, $500 a month for 20 years. That's a car payment that's a 20-year loan.
That's the thing is with that 20 years from now, you like to put shit behind you. Like there's shit that I was involved in 20 years ago that I don't even have to worry about anymore. But like 19 years from now, this guy's going to be like, fuck, $500 check.
Yeah.
$500 check. That sucks. That emotionally.
His child will be 20 before he pays this. Well, probably, yeah. His child will be 19 or 20 by the time he pays this off.
Wow. All righty. So when you're playing with Tannerite, everybody, you better be careful with it.
Well, we've talked about this time and time again on the podcast about, we spent all this money, doing all this work to the range because, we always say you can't have a bullet leave the range. Well, you know what? A bullet leaves the range. Something crazy stupid happens. You could be in this guy's shoes or worse.
I'm telling you, I haven't expressed it too much publicly, and we've talked about it privately. I do have some fire concerns because I don't like all the dead shit that's on our property. And, here's the thing. We're not really equipped right now to knock down a moderate fire. If we lost control of a fire, it would be bad. And I have been thinking about ways to mitigate that. And we'll talk about that off pod. So I know you got to get to bed. So, all right. Well, this wraps up episode 116 of the John1911 podcast. If you want to see still photographs of someone setting the Arizona desert on fire or an A400 dick pic, go to our website, John1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. And you go down there. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
See you later.